Poblano Breakfast Scramble, my friend, that is what we are making on today's episode. We are gonna learn the secret to making perfect scrambled eggs. You're gonna wanna watch. I'm also teaching you tricks about cutting poblano peppers and how to saute veggies and mix them in with your perfectly scrambled eggs. This breakfast is so fantastic. It's also perfect breakfast for dinner type of a meal. You've got some good veggies, some starch, and some protein all in the same bowl. The first thing we're gonna do is cut up the poblano peppers. These are a very mild pepper, but they add a lot of flavor to the scramble. Then we're going to peel and dice the russet potatoes. You could use another potato, but I like to use the russet for mixing in with eggs. And then we will get the eggs ready to go, and then we'll move on over to the stove and do the scramble. So the first thing that I want to teach you is how to remove the seeds and core and pith of pretty much any pepper, a bell pepper, a poblano pepper, a serrano, even jalapeno this works for. It's a little harder with jalapeno. But what you're going to do is you're going to find the notches that are on the pepper, and you're going to line up your knife and you're going to cut notch to notch just like this, and then cut down, and then once we can see inside, we can cut the pepper away from the core and the seeds and the pithy part that is in the center. Now for this scramble, we want the pieces to be smaller. So I'm going to cut them into probably 1/4, 1/3 inch size pieces, and we're going to cook those with the potato pieces that we're going to dice here in just a second. I usually run my knife lengthwise down and kind of line them up, and then we can chop, then just kind of turn them, and then just run your knife until you get these smallish pieces that we're going to saute with the eggs. Poblano peppers are fantastic with fajitas. If you ever make fajitas, it's probably my favorite pepper to go with fajitas. I'm just going to set those aside to use for later because this is really all that I need. 1 poblano pepper's worth for this particular meal. Let's move on to the potatoes. I've already washed and dried these. This is my new favorite. It's a vegetable peeler. It has a cover for safety reasons, and it also, can you hear that? It sharpens itself. I know it's, let me try it again. You can hear it, like you can hear that it's sharpening, which is amazing because nobody wants a dull peeler. At least I don't. So we're gonna peel these. I'm gonna actually peel these onto my counter. I don't want the dusty mess on my cutting board, so I'm gonna peel these over here. Also, do not peel this into your sink. Potato peels and your disposal are not friends. Ask me how I know. I know. It was a long time ago, friends, before I really knew what I was doing in the kitchen. But just a fair warning. Look at how smooth that is. Goodness, love it. This is called the Sharple. We have them in our store. It's from the amazing Dream Farm line. Many of their products are super creative and unique and so practical and so helpful. So we need 2 russet, maybe 4 gold or red if you're using that. And I'm going to just give these a quick little rinse, get all the dust off. And then I'm going to cut them up pretty small. I want these to cook quickly. I'm going to cook the veggies before we add in the eggs. So I am going to cut them small so they'll cook a little faster. Should take, maybe 3 to 5 minutes to get these potatoes cooked. Probably no more than that. I'm going to cut lengthwise and then kind of cut in a circle here. When you're cutting, make sure that you bend your fingertips and run your knife along your first kind of fingertip edge. That'll help, 1, guide the knife, and 2, it'll help make sure that you don't accidentally, cut yourself. So fairly small pieces we want here. Again, we're going to actually do what's called a steam saute on these potatoes. Potatoes can take a little while to cook in a skillet. And so I'm going to start sauteing them with the peppers. The peppers will release a little liquid, so will the potatoes. But then to speed up the cooking process, once the skillet is nice and hot, I'm going to add a little bit of water. And that water will steam up pretty quickly and help soften up these potatoes. We do not want crunchy potatoes in our Poblano breakfast scramble. So this will be really quick. It's just a quick way to speed up the process. Anytime you're cooking potatoes in the skillet, whether at a breakfast scramble or if you're sauteing with sausage and peppers is a great meal that we like with sweet potatoes or regular potatoes, you just want to make sure that you cook those through. So we're just going for small little tiny pieces, itty bitty pieces. So I have my whisk. I actually have my flisk. This thing is super cool. It is a balloon whisk, which is probably what you're most familiar with. It's also a sauce whisk. So I would use this, you twist at the bottom and the balloon is like a half a balloon now. And you can use this for like mixing up a sauce. I would use it for like a homemade white sauce or cream and mushroom soup or something like that. And then you can turn it into a flat whisk, which is great for deglazing pans, skillets, and whatnot. I'm gonna use it as a balloon whisk today and show you how to aerate the eggs. But before we do that, we need to crack them and get them into our bowl. So I'm gonna be working with 8 eggs today. When preparing the eggs, you're gonna wanna crack on a flat surface. That's gonna create a clean break around here and create less potential for the little tiny egg pieces to get dropped into your bowl. So we're gonna just do a quick crack on a flat surface, and then once it's cracked, you can easily open it and break the egg into your bowl. A common thing that I see a lot of people doing is cracking the egg shell on the side of a bowl, and that's gonna create a really deep rivet, and it's gonna create those little tiny breaks of the egg that often end up in the bowl. So crack on a flat surface, break, nothing happens. If a piece like this gets into the bowl, the easiest way to fish it out is gonna be with a fork. So I'll take a fork, the little prong on the fork, the corner, I'll put the fork in there, I'll press down and then slide it up the side of the bowl. That's the easiest way. You could use your fingers, but I prefer to use a fork. So 8 eggs into here. The nice part about eggs is if you lose count, you can see. I've done 5. A lot of times when I'm cooking live, I'll just forget like how many have I measured in here? But with eggs, you can see. So nice. So we're gonna do 8. Now, when it comes to the perfect scramble, I have a question for you. Do you add milk or do you not add milk? Or cream or half and half? Some sort of a dairy. Do you or do you not? That is my question for you. Answer in the comments below. Do you add milk when you make your eggs or do you not add milk? I am not going to add any milk right now. I am just going to whisk and aerate my eggs. The reason I want to aerate the eggs is because you're gonna get fluffier scrambled eggs. And we're gonna saute the veggies and then scramble the eggs with the veggies. I want to aerate and get lots of bubbles. The word aerate means to add air. So we're going to add air by whisking, and we're gonna whisk in a circular motion, and I'm gonna tilt the bowl, and that's gonna help create more bubbles. You'll see the bubbles here in just a second, but the word that I want you to remember with making the perfect scrambled eggs is aerate. So with your whisk, you're going to, in a circular motion, almost like an oval, and then I'm tilting the bowl and adding air, and we want lots of bubbles. You see those nice bubbles in there? Look at those fabulous bubbles. So this is prepped. I will aerate this one more time right before we add it in to the skillet with the vegetables, but I've got this prepped right now. I'll give it a quick whisk to aerate again, and then we'll pour it in the skillet with the vegetables here in just a second. So we're gonna shift over to the stove and get these veggies and eggs and Poblano Breakfast Scramble cooking. All right, let's get these cooking. So we're gonna start by warming up our skillet. I recommend a non-stick skillet. And I'm gonna add in probably 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I want there to be a little bit more because of the amount of veggies that we're cooking. Just give that a swirl, get the bottom nice and coated. There we go. Just gonna toss all of this in. A little garlic, a little onion, a little salt, half a teaspoon or so. To taste, of course. A little bit of pepper. We'll add the seasoning in now. You can add a little more later if you like. We will let this cook like this for a couple of minutes till the peppers start to soften, and then I'll add in that water to finish cooking, that steam saute to finish cooking the potatoes. I'm using my favorite spinella, spoon and spatula together. The spinella is a great multi-purpose tool. It's got a little bit of a spoon to it so you can scoop. Perfect for pushing veggies around. Also use it for making my scrambled eggs. It's really great for when you need to like slide the eggs across. You can also find this guy in our store along with the flisk and the sharple. With the steam saute, we're just gonna add 1/2 cup to 1 cup of water. The water will steam up. It will also sit in the pan for just a minute or two, and it will finish cooking those potatoes so they're nice and soft for our scramble. It takes a couple of minutes. We want these potatoes to be nice and soft. Of course, you could take a knife and test them. I can see that they're softened because the edges have kind of rounded, if you will, and that just means that they are cooking through. All right, just for the sake of being cautious, I'm just gonna do one quick test. That's pretty soft. If you need to add more water, you absolutely can. Just do another 1/4 cup or so if you need a little bit more of that steam saute to happen to get your potatoes cooked through. The amount of liquid and the timing is just gonna depend on how large those potato pieces are, which is why we cut them smaller in the first place. I'm starting to see a little browning going on, which is perfect. That'll add a little flavor. All right, I am going to transfer these now, and I'm gonna leave this here. So we need to aerate again. There's still lots of bubbles here, but I want the perfect fluffy scrambled eggs, so I'm gonna aerate them one more time, whisking in kind of that oval motion and tilting my bowl. And then I'm gonna pour these into the hot skillet. I even whisk all the way to when you pour in, and then it'll let them set nicely just like this. So this is 8 eggs, and we're gonna let that set. 2 other things to know about scrambling eggs. You want to cook on medium-high heat. If you're scrambling eggs on high heat, you're gonna overcook them. So we wanna do medium-high heat. Let them set for about 1 minute. You'll see that lighter yellow ring around the edge, those beautiful bubbles. We're gonna let this cook over that medium-high heat. And then I will use my spinella, the same one I was using with my veggies, to push the eggs around and then let the rest of them cook through. And then once they're pretty much mostly cooked, they will cook for another minute or so once we re-add the vegetables here in just a second, once we give it a turnover. Okay, I can see that it's pretty well set and it's time to give it a turnover. So I'm gonna start closest to me and then push away from there. So I like to push away and let the egg fill in, and then you end up with that beautiful fluff-tastic-ness. This nonstick is gonna, ooh, nice. We don't want an omelet. We will scramble this, but we do need, that's the beauty of a nonstick skillet right there, my friend. We do want to get the rest of that runny egg onto the bottom. Oh, this is gonna be so good with the veggies in there. Just when it's about cooked to this point right here, it's still a little bit runny, we're gonna reintroduce the veggies. Scrape all that goodness right in there. At this point, I will turn off the heat because we don't want to overcook anything. These eggs are already cooked. If there were any runny parts left, there won't be shortly. And we're going to mix all of this together into this gorgeous, delicious breakfast scramble. You can either add cheese to the entire skillet. You could add cheese to individual bowls or plates, depending on what you're having with this particular meal, but this is the Poblano Breakfast Scramble with perfectly scrambled eggs. All right, click on over to the blog, get the Poblano Breakfast Scramble saved for an upcoming meal plan. Get this made. You and your family are going to love it. It is so delicious, and I want you to remember this word right here, aerate. That's all you gotta remember is aerate for the perfect scrambled eggs every time. We have new videos coming out every week. Please like and subscribe to the $5 Dinners YouTube channel, and be sure to check out other new episodes that come out at noon Central on Wednesdays.